guys, how's it going? Ray here. Hey, happy Thursday to everyone. Hope everybody's week is going well. We are now, it's a Valentine's Day edition, so happy Valentine's Day to everyone. So here, drop the physical therapy drop off. So today, what do I want to talk about? Something that we kind of touched on a little bit previously, but really we need to go into more detail about. Hey, Jared, how's it going? So we really need to go into a little more detail about uh, Nicole. How's it going, Jared? So is our metrics, right? The metrics that we're measuring aren't the real metrics that we should be measuring. We're looking at our metrics and we're looking at them the wrong way. Our metrics, our current metrics, everybody looks at their KPIs, right? Your key performance indicators, but the key KPIs aren't really indicative of what's going on, right? Your KPIs are showing you that there's an issue. That's all you can really gain from them. I don't know what's going on with the light here. It's like dying. It's just indicative that there is a problem. So like we're measuring, I'm talking KPIs. Let me tell you what I'm talking about: your cancellation no-show rate, your completed plan of care, your drop-offs, right, which is the whole reason that my group exists. Those are actually symptoms. One of the reasons I use it is because, it's something that is important to people that everybody wants to talk about because, it's what we know, but you're not going deep enough. Like you're measuring, so somebody comes in and they have a fever, right? So we're like, hey, you have a fever. Okay, well, what's going on? We've got to dive a little bit deeper. I've got a fever, my joints are sore. Okay, here's an antibiotic, go home. Well, maybe we should look a little deeper. Maybe we should really kind of see what's going on here. And I'm sure some of you guys out here can relate to this. We're only looking at the symptom. You've got to look at other things. You've got to measure other things. Number one, that NPS. You've got to be measuring your net promoter score. If you don't know what net promoter score is, go back to one of my other videos because, that's a pretty long conversation in of itself. So your net promoter score, you really got to look at that. You've got to look at that data. You've got to look at it by therapist, by location, by clinic, and then you have to have something to measure that number against, right? Then you also need to have some satisfaction surveys where you are actually looking at what the patient thinks about their therapist and what the patient thinks about the front office. Also, the most important thing is, are they getting better? Like, let's be honest, that's the reason that they're coming to you. So if you're not measuring that stat, if you're not looking at from therapist to therapist, from place to place, you're not getting it. You're not actually finding the information that you need to see. Hey, Tracy, how's it going? So we really need to dive in and look at these numbers. We've got to look at this data a little more. So your metrics. Number one, I recommend 4 metrics. Number one, your net promoter score. This one is the overall health of your business, right? These are so important because these are what the patient thinks, right? These are what your customers think. Your KPIs on the other end, what's your cancellation no-show rate, your drop-off rate. These are all the symptoms of the actual problem. So we want to try and dive deeper and get the actual problem. So net promoter score, number one. Separate that by therapist, by clinic, by location. All of these, you want to do the same thing. Number two, satisfaction with their therapist. You want to look from therapist to therapist, from one individual to another individual, from one group to another group, clinic to clinic, and then in my software we created so that we can look at the industry as a whole, like all of our data. Where are you at in relation to those numbers to give them context? Number three, how happy are they with the front office, right? How's the front office doing? They're the most overlooked piece in this entire puzzle. Those people have a huge effect on your practice and what's going to be going on. Hey, Aaron, how's it going? We had a talk earlier today. So what they think of your front office. Now, on this, you need multiple locations to really start to measure the statistic to see what it should be. we're working on pulling that data in our software so that we can actually give you some honest to God, feedback, so you know where your front office is in relation to somebody else, so you can measure and see if you need to make any improvements there. Then the fourth stat, the improvement rating, right? So if the patient's improving, right? So we ask one simple question, as a result of my treatment, my condition is improving, slightly improving, not improving, slightly worse, significantly worse. So then we graph those on a chart. We can look at those from therapist to therapist, location to location. So we can really measure those things. And the funny thing is, when you start to dive into the numbers, there's a lot more that goes in. Like, this is a team sport. If any of these is lacking, so too will the improvement rating. So, like, if they're not happy with the front office, their improvement isn't going to be